Hello, my name is Monica Morrison. I'm the principal here at Holy Trinity School. I have Liz Brott, who will be our new assistant principal next year, and Kathleen Scherzan, who is our current middle school math teacher. And we thank you for joining us for our short presentation that we'd like to share with you about our middle school restructure for next year.
Okay, so this is Kathleen Scherzan, and this first slide that we're sharing with you is full of information, and I want to give you a little background on where this came from. So what I've learned about the Holy Trinity Middle School is that our team is always staying up to date on latest research, and we examine data on a regular basis as part of our professional learning community process. And we've really been reflecting on what skills and values we want our HT students to possess. And we use this to make any decisions we come across, but we also felt that it was important that we look at what our current reality is. And more specifically, where are we spending our instructional minutes? And after we were gathering this information, what sticks out most to us is the difference in instructional minutes from 5th grade to 6th grade in math. 5th graders get 60 minutes of math instruction. This includes whole group instruction, small group instruction, independent work, all of those components. They get 60 minutes each day, which totals about 300 minutes on a normal week. In middle school, and I'll use 6th grade as an example, but this also holds true for both 7th and 8th graders. 6th graders in middle school meet for math Monday, Wednesday, and every other Friday. And normally it's a block made of 80 to 90 minutes. So 80 to 90 minutes on Monday and Wednesday and 40 minutes on every other Friday. And this is 100 to 140 minutes less per week than 5th graders currently receive. And COVID protocols this past year have even shortened those blocks more so. So this difference in math instructional minutes is where we're finding some concern. So while the 5th graders currently don't receive Spanish, middle school students currently spend equal time in Spanish as they do math. And as some of you may know, middle school Spanish has been a very challenging spot to fill, not only this year with the complications of COVID, but also years prior to that as well. And Ms. Brott is going to touch on that in a little bit as well in our presentation. So the things we started asking ourselves after reviewing like where we spend our time is, does this align with our current values, and does it support our goal to have Holy Trinity students high school, college, and career ready? So this, looking at this next slide, emphasizing that students have math on either Monday, Wednesday, or Tuesday, Thursday, and every other Friday. The current math curriculum we use is called Illustrated Mathematics, and it prescribes 50 minutes per lesson. And in order to get 2 of those done in a block period, we would need more than the 80 to 90 minutes to get that done. And that's just the core. So what suffers are the small group opportunities for intervention and extension. And in a normal year, we have what we call win time built into each day, where students are able to get what they need. And study club is also a great opportunity a few times a week, but the challenge is serving those 100 plus students across 5 sections of math in those times outside of the normal class time.
And then I'd like to add on another thing that is unique about math is that in 8th grade, our students are split into either 8th grade math or algebra, which means that our middle school math teacher has to teach an additional curriculum than the rest of us in the hallway, and gets the same amount of planning time for that. So we do have a teacher equity issue that we've considered as well. And then we're also dealing with the reality of COVID and what is happening nationally, which is the COVID gap. And Mrs. Scherzan is going to go into that a little bit more about how that's impacting us here at Holy Trinity.
So as a building and as a diocese, we place a large emphasis on our reading and our math data. The NWEA, which stands for the Northwest Evaluation Agency, they provide what are called our MAP tests that we use in middle school, and it's just one of the data points we use. Students take math, language usage, and reading tests 3 times a year. And so we kind of track their progress using that data point. But they came out with some findings, and they shared that in the fall of 2020, students in grades 3 through 8 performed similarly in reading to same grade students in that previous fall of 2019. But in math, they scored about 5 to 10 percentile points lower. So in addition to that, most students showed growth in both reading and math since the onset of the COVID disruptions, but growth in math was lower than in a typical year. So the NCTM, the National Council of Teachers of Mathematics, came up with some suggestions in order to kind of help with this concern area. And so they have suggested using mixed level groupings, both between and within classes, maintaining high expectations for learning, providing differentiated instruction for each student, and allowing students to move in and out of flexible interventions as needed. So what we have found in our building at Holy Trinity, even building wide, is that we are seeing some of those same trends in our building as the NWEA found nationally. So those were national trends, and we are seeing those same things in our building. So we want to be able to, in that third bullet point, those bolded areas, we want to focus on those things. And in order to do that, we need time. We need more time.
So the other unique thing about middle school compared to elementary is that currently we offer Spanish as a core content, and Mrs. Sherzan mentioned earlier, they get the same amount of time as math, social studies, and science. And there's a lot of pros to having Spanish as a core content. You know, some students are getting a jump start on learning a foreign language. This year, we have about 33% of students going into high school that are able to take Spanish 2 or Advanced Spanish 2 class as a freshman. So they'll be on track to take an AP class if they choose to and stick with it by junior year. They also are going to develop an appreciation of Hispanic culture. And we're currently the only Catholic school with a full-time Spanish instructor at the middle school level, with the exception of the immersion program that's in the diocese. There are other schools that have it as a special or related arts, kind of like what we do for library or guidance, or some of our music, art, and PE, where they get it certain times, but not all the time. But this is all really reliant upon having a quality educator in that classroom. We also have some areas of concern. So 33%, yes, are getting a jump start, but 66%, so the majority, are still entering high school in Spanish 1 or Advanced Spanish 1. The other thing is that in my past 7 years of being here, we've had a shortage of applications for the Spanish position and a shortage of quality candidates that have taken it. So in the past 7 years, we've had 3 years where we've been in the situation we've been in this year, where the Spanish teacher did not continue with us all school year. And that means that we're going to have multiple substitutes, long-term subs, and that at a time where we have students that are in a very critical developmental stage of their lives, we want to be able to offer them stability. The result of this is that in the last 7 years, only 2 grades have had 3 years of consistent Spanish instructor with a full-time Spanish teacher. And so that's impacting a lot of families, and we've heard feedback from a lot of families this year about that concern. And so that's one of the reasons we're looking at this.
So for next year, we will be eliminating our Spanish class in middle school as a core content class. There's always the possibility of bringing this back as a related arts class. Some of the other diocesan schools have been using a program called the Language Project, and they're very happy with the quality of teachers and the results that they see. We will be hiring an additional math teacher instead to be the 6th grade homeroom teacher. So Spanish will be eliminated, and we'll hire an additional math teacher for next year.
This slide shows the top 10 skills to be future ready and skills that we find really important for our Holy Trinity students as well. And just wanted to point out that, especially, I mean, all of these skills can cross curriculum, whether we're talking about science or social studies or reading and language or math. All of them fall into there somehow. But numbers 1 and 2, complex problem solving and critical thinking, that happens pretty much every minute of every math class. And so we really want to emphasize those skills, and we want our students experiencing those things every single day. So this is why we feel that math would be important for all middle school students to have every single day. And then coming full circle back to this chart here, it's what we're seeing is that this is what it's going to look like next year. Now, these minutes are not set in stone. Obviously, we are still working on a schedule, just waiting to see how the summer goes with COVID, things like that. But the bottom line is that students in middle school would have math every day. And so we find that very important for these students. And to kind of close here, we're going to talk a little bit about what the current challenges are and what the solutions will bring. So currently, math in middle school students are getting 160 to 200 minutes weekly. And so what that means is that if there is no school on a Monday, there were times when when sixth graders, for example, would only have a block of 70 minutes, perhaps up to 120 minutes a week on a 4-day week. And so the solution to that with our new schedule would now allow for math every day, that even on a 4-day week, students would still have that minimum of 320 minutes. The current challenge is covering our current math curriculum, illustrative mathematics. And with our solution, we would be able to focus not only on the core lesson, but we would have time within that class period to be able to do any sort of intervention work, extension work, group work, project-based learning in order to increase student engagement and retention. So this would be done within the core classroom time, and which then frees up some of that outside work time to really be more focused on what each student needs. So this is a huge benefit to the students within the class period.
The third challenge that we've been facing is a lack of quality Spanish teacher applicants. And so by making that shift to having a second math teacher, we have higher odds of recruiting a qualified quality math teacher. And hopefully someone that is dedicated specifically to Catholic education and our HT community, someone who's really going to invest in your students and in your families. There's potential still for Spanish to come back as a related arts and hopefully serve even more students, maybe providing some Spanish for K through 8th graders. And then we still have ample opportunity to have cultural competency cultivated in other ways. So social studies curriculum, and it's going to expand past just Hispanic or Spanish-based cultures into lots of other cultures. The fourth challenge we looked at, which was teacher equity, middle school math versus other middle school teachers, what they are being expected to do. And this would resolve that issue as well and provide an opportunity for collaboration within our building. So you'll have one teacher who would teach, for example, maybe 6th grade and algebra, and the other teacher could teach 7th grade and 8th. And that would allow for them to collaborate with each other when they're doing mixed groups or planning for win time, and to really benefit your students by combining their ideas.
Thank you so much for listening to our presentation. We are so excited to be able to provide the consistency that your students need next year at Holy Trinity. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to email me at mmorrison@htschool.org or give the office a phone call. Thank you.